Hello, welcome to True Hoop with me, Jarod, Hector, and Coach David Thorpe. How are you, sir?
Tired, but well. How are you?
Good. You had a fun weekend. I alluded to it on last Thursday's show. David and his family were in Tallahassee, Florida for his son Max's senior night with the Florida State University basketball team. For those of you who know, Max plays for them, and this is the end for Max senior year. He's going to be going on to bigger and better things. And I joked with you on the show. I said, "You won't cry now. You probably cry on Sunday." Did you cry on Sunday? Or sorry, not on Sunday. On Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, no, well, listen, there's a couple of things. First of all, he has another year of eligibility because he redshirted his first year. I think he's done, only because I think if he wasn't, I think he would say, Dad, I think I'm going to stay. He's not saying that. He's just, let's wait till the season to be over, and which could be early as Wednesday when they play their ACC tournament game. And no, I got a little emotional a few times, only seeing my wife get emotional, my daughter. He's not leaving basketball. So whether he's playing at Florida State or he's coaching somewhere, in fact, I even said this to my family. I told my wife on the drive there and back, this would be the most relaxed you're ever going to be for the rest of his career. Because as a coach, it's a lot more nerve-wracking. You get fired when you lose. Mm-hmm. Or when you're the assistant coach, when the head coach gets fired. Mm-hmm. If he wins, you get a raise.
Right.
So there's way more. I said, honey, you're not going to be on your phone anymore. You're going to be into these games.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking forward to that stress at all. It was emotional, though, just in talking to some of the coaches who came by to see us, not including at the game. And some of the players came over. It's nice to know my son has had an impact on their lives and has done really good things. So it's the end of a chapter, not the end of a book, right?
Sure, yeah.
And the one thing I did tell him is, don't get fucking fat. He looks incredible. He's the heaviest he's ever been. He's just gotten stronger.
Yeah.
And 6'3", 183 is not fat.
No.
I bet he has a 32-inch waist. Very lean cut guy. But your body doesn't always cooperate, as you know. I remember being 22 and super thin, and then I started coaching, and next thing I know, like, why are my shorts tight? I've never had that my entire life. I burned 1,000 calories a day hooping. And so I think he's going to stay pretty committed to everything. But I got to work out every day. He thinks he'll play. He said I'll play more basketball than ever whenever I retire because it won't be work. It'll be fun.
Right.
And he's going to be training guys all the time.
Well, I was going to get to that point next. Yeah. There is a strong chance that, he joins Dad in the business and he takes over the business when Dad eventually stops being on the floor.
That's what his mom wants. I think his mom just wants me to start working so hard. So that's between you and me and whoever's listening to this.
But he's also, he's not ready to take over that full time from you yet. That's got to be a gradual process.
No, and he's going to have coaching options, and he's always wanted to run an NBA team. More recently, he's been coaching has really caught the bug. I know the feeling. I did too. He likes, I talked to him early Sunday morning. And I said, what are you doing awake already? He's like, what do you mean? Going to the gym. I got some players. Like he's already kind of taken on that role as a coach. So, in fact, on Saturday morning, which was game day, he was saying goodbye to me. And one of the head GA was with us, who's 39 years old. And he just went back to get his master's and help with the college team. And he's like, I'll see you tomorrow morning, coach. And the coach said, what time you be there? I said, I got 8 o'clock. And the coach said, what do you mean? He said, who are you working out at 8 o'clock? And he told him, he's like, I got him at 9. He's like, I'm getting him ready for you. And so he's invested into that kind of stuff already. Yeah. I would love he did say to me one day it would be a dream to run my business. I don't have that dream, but he gets to have his own dream. And his mom gets to have her own dream.
Sure.
And Max will choose ultimately. So the most important thing is he's a loving, decent young man. And he's got a great twin sister and a great mom. A loving dad, lots of friends and family supporting him. Two of my sister-in-laws were there.
Oh, nice.
And he's a thoughtful person. And he wants to be a coach. He's going to be a great one, Jarod. He really is. And I'll do whatever I can to help.
Well, and that's, we talk about it on this show all the time and being your son, although, it's just because it's your son doesn't mean it had to work out that way. But no doubt
Right.
you did your part to instill, you and Chrissy did your parts to instill in him kindness and decency and all of those things. But, that's not a guarantee that it works out, right? People
Nope.
make up their own mind and do their own thing.
Yep.
But should he decide to go into coaching and do this, this is that, besides X's and O's, this is that competitive advantage he could have, right? The idea that you always say, these coaches don't love up on their guys enough and don't breathe enough spirit into them. And this is why, frankly, they're not good, right? But Max may have a huge leg up in that regard.
We were talking about this morning on our content call. It's a really interesting and scary time for coaches. You've got, and this is at all levels, by the way. The NBA has got more money than ever to pay these guys. That's a challenge. How do I coach a player who's making so much money? As much as coaches are making, some of these players are making much more. In college, you've got NIL. In high school, you've got the dream. It's not just a scholarship anymore. It's actually, I can help feed my family by playing in college. And so there's pressure on you as a high school coach or AAU coach, as I think there should be. And so we can easily get lost in the weeds here, Jarod, of getting caught up in the business of the game and not the personal part of it. And I think that really matters. And so his natural inclination, I think being a twin helps, he's just a people person. And I think he connects with people in a special way. He's incredibly self-deprecating. My dumbass son is a very, very handsome kid. I don't know if he'll grow up that way. He's that way now. People change as they get older, trust me. My wife has often said she wouldn't have dated me when I was 20 years old. But he is growing some facial hair. I asked him to shave, not clean shaven, but just clean it up, bro. You can't really grow anything. For your mom, get a haircut too. So, but meanwhile, on his mustache, one side is much darker than the other. I'm like, what the fuck happened to you? And he laughs about it. He's like, well, I got like a phone call or something when he did something. And so he, instead of just cleaning it all up evenly, this stupid guy didn't do anything. And so it looks like you can grow hair on one side. That's not the case. He doesn't care. He knows it'll grow out eventually. That dude's not sweating anything. That's going to change a little bit. You're going to start being more attentive to details. That's the privilege of being young and stupid, right? I love that about him, though. I think it's going to serve him well. Players want to know you can be vulnerable too and admit. Like, there's a really good college coach, I won't go into who he is, who's very good at saying to his players, I fucked up. I'm sorry. Let's get better at this, but it's on me. Players gravitate to that. I think Max will be really good at that, just admitting. I try to tell players I don't see it. I'd love to help you right now. I'm going to keep doing what I can do. I don't see the answer yet. Let me just keep plugging away. I think they appreciate that.
Honesty.
Because when I'm confident, I'm confident. If I know it, I'm happy to say I see this. But I'm just as willing to say I don't see it yet. Give me time. And I think players are so used to being hustled by men. Confidence men is what they're doing. They're trying to gain your confidence when they're faking it. They've been hustled. My son's not going to be a hustler. I can tell you that. He'll hustle in terms of trying to work hard.
Right.
He won't be hustling people.
Yeah. Well, congrats to Max Thorpe.
Yep.
And, we're all excited to see what he does next and where he'll be next in the journey. All right, David, we got about 19, 20 games or so left in the regular season. Yeah. So the rest of March and then, first 7 days of April or so. And, I joked, I started the title of this segment, Who's Ready for the Playoffs? And you told me off air, nobody.
Yeah.
Because we got some time still. But, I'm kind of looking, trending out to see, okay, who's kind of starting to 8 of their last 10, 7 of their last 10, who's 4 of their last 10, not looking great. And this matters for seeding, right? Because no one except for Boston pretty much is going to be locked into where they're seated. They're 8 games up. It's going to take some catastrophic thing for them to drop out of the 1 seed.
Let's hope.
Right. Oh, yes. Barring injury.
Bad happens.
Right. That's always the caveat. Anybody could twist an ankle, whatever, and then all bets are off. But assuming injuries, moving that aside for now, everybody else is kind of fighting for seeding right now. And so I was like, let's see who's playing well and who is and who isn't. And what do you like? What are you not liking from teams that you're seeing? So I got about 10 teams. We're going to go through here and we're going to discuss, just kind of
what. I'm going to throw in an 11th team.
Ooh, Dave, I think I might know who the 11th team is. All right.
Take a guess.
The Pelicans.
We can start with them. Yes.
I knew it because I was like, should I put the Pelicans in? All right, let's start with the Pelicans. They are currently 39-25. They are 5th in the West, and they are 7-3 in their last 10, winners of 4 straight.
So I don't look at 10-game segments. I look at 6-game segments typically. It's about, almost 2 weeks typically for most of
Mm-hmm.
these teams. So you want to guess where they are offensively? It's not one. Where they are the last 6 games offensively?
5th.
2.
Mm.
Okay, 2nd. You want to guess where they are defensively?
3rd.
1st.
Ooh.
So 5-1.
Mm.
I just saw a stat. Zion's blocked 7 shots in the last 3 games. That's never happened before in his career. He's playing good, not amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Ingram's playing well.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like everyone's playing well.
They are.
Which I think is a theme.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one team. I'm not saying ready for the playoffs because it's just too far away. 5 weeks is so long still. But 5-1 the last 6, beating up teams, winning some big road games. That team is kind of gelling. And Zion is the Godzilla that he's the Titan.
Yes.
That isn't yet being a Titan, but
correct.
He has been in the past, like including last year.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So they've still got some potential. Trey Murphy's young, Alvarado's young,
right?
Valanciunas has not played well lately, but I think he's accountable. CJ's not played well lately, yet they're still winning. When I say lately, just the last 4 or 5 games.
Right.
I think they're interesting to me.
No, David, I like where you go here, and it's so funny. It's something we've done so many pods together. I knew I was like, I bet David's gonna be like Pelicans. I'm adding 11, so I'm glad we started with them. So Zion's biggest thing over the last few seasons has been not playing. 64 games of the 64 available games, he's played 53. So
pretty good.
That's very good in terms of just availability. They have all the elements that would suggest they can make a deep playoff run. They're long, athletic, and very good defensively in the positions you need to be. We always know about Herb Jones, of course, but Brandon's a better defender. Zion's a good defender. Valanciunas is a monster of a human trying to get around him. Good luck. Off the bench, who am I missing off the bench? Excellent defender.
Najee Marshall.
I mean,
Jose Alvarado.
Oh, of course, the Grand Theft
Tyson
Alvarado.
Daniels, who's young.
Trey Murphy can shoot threes and stretch the floor.
Really,
and you mentioned Zion. He hasn't done it yet, but in a 7-game series, he could be the best player on the floor.
For sure.
And that's what you need to advance in the playoffs. Those things, and they have them. We talked about Willie Green, who you like a lot, and they love and believe in him over there in New Orleans. I mean, look, everyone's talking about, what's going on with the Wolves and this team and that team, and so talking about the Lakers and Warriors because of the star power they have, even though they're in the play-in. And I feel like they're just kind of doing that sneaky under the radar. Nobody's thinking about us. Here we are in 5th. We're just, I'll tell you what, you don't want to play them in the playoffs. I know that, right? You're just like, the Pelicans? That's going to be a tough series. I like it. I think, assuming everything goes well and everybody's healthy, come April.
How far are they from the 3rd spot?
Well, glad you mentioned that.
Can they get there?
Yes, they can. Clippers are 2.5 back of the Clippers. No, sorry, that's the 4th spot. They're 4.5 back of the Timberwolves. Now, they could, because the Timberwolves have some problems. No Karl Anthony Towns. They've not been playing well lately. I think lost 3 straight.
2 and 4 last 6.
Yeah. So it's possible.
Here's why I say that. Here's why I ask that. I think they can. I don't think it's likely.
Right.
There's a lot of teams, but I think they can. And then they get to avoid the 1 seed in the West.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that matters.
I agree.
I really think that matters. The way the Clippers are playing lately, and OKC, I wouldn't be as worried about avoiding as Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other question is, do you want to be at 4-5?
So you'll end up playing Denver possibly.
If OKC is the 1, as opposed to having to play Denver as the 3 seed.
Right.
So we might see some jockeying there because my guess is they'd rather play OKC than Denver.
I mean, yes. I mean, listen, we saw Denver this week, beat the best team in the league, the Boston Celtics, right? Did what they had to do. Jokic is incredible. That starting 5 is who they are for a reason, and they're phenomenal. And so they are the defending champs until proven otherwise. So yes, I think people are going to start doing that. But again, as I've said before in the past, you get yourself in trouble when you start trying to Mickey around the standings and figure out, let's get into this slot and that slot. Because ultimately, if you're trying to win a championship, you got to beat good people regardless. So, let's avoid them. It's like, well, okay.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't think it's in Willie Green's personality. That doesn't mean
I don't see it. Yeah, he doesn't seem like that type.
But I think that they feel like, we can play anybody with what we're doing defensively collectively, because they're doing it collectively, not just individually. And like I said, last 6 games are offense number 2. I haven't looked at last 10. I can. While we're talking, I'll look up.
And especially, David, they didn't win the series, but when they went up against the Suns, when they were the 1 seed, the Suns had the best record in the league. They had no Zion, and that was 2-2, right? In that series, and they were playing incredible. Alvarado was giving Chris Paul fits and nightmares. It was so. Willie, to mention his personality, he's gonna be like, we ain't scared of these MFers. Who cares? Like, let's get in there and do what we got to do.
So last 15, I did last 6. Last 15 games, 5th on offense, 1st on defense, 11-4, which ranks them tied for 2nd with the world champs, 1 behind Boston. This is not a team just playing well now.
Yeah.
They've been playing well. And what are they, 11 games over? How many games over 500 are they?
They are 14 games over 500.
35-21? No,
39-25.
Yeah, okay. 14 games over. Yeah. This is they're going to get 50-plus wins, and they've got 2 problem solvers offensively, the CJ being the 3rd, plus the shooter and Murphy. So, yeah, they need to be. I think they need to be well respected right now.
I think you're dead on. All right, next team, David, say it out west. The Timberwolves, 44-21, lost 2 straight, 5-5 in their last 10. They're a game and a half back of the number 1 seed in the West, in 3rd right now. Obviously, the cat injury, huge. And again, as I said, it just slots everyone up a level. Have your issues with cat, say whatever you want. But this is a 22 point per game, 9 rebound, 40-something%. That doesn't grow on a tree somewhere. All right, we'll put somebody else in who can do that. Not really. Yes, Naz Reid is excellent.
What have they said, Jarod?
That it's the meniscus and he's having surgery. I mean, he's not going to be back for the regular season's end, that's for sure.
Right.
There's only 20.
And not going to be healthy for the postseason.
Exactly my point. So,
Jarod, I'm sorry to take you off course, but I need to do it. It's just it's in my energy to do it.
Do it.
Do you know the famous story in my family of my youngest brother Mike's like 10 years old? And you ever heard of the Elks Lodge? There's okay, so they used to sponsor a free throw shooting contest. I was in it when I was young. He won our age group and maybe won our big area. So we drive 4 hours across the state, 3 hours to a place called Fort Pierce for like the state competition. This is the finals.
I think I might have heard the story. Maybe it sounded familiar. But go on.
You'll know in a minute when I say how it ends. So Mike's on the free throw. This is going to get back to Minnesota in a second, I promise.
Oh, I know.
Mike, I'm up in the stands with my dad, and my brother Mike is brilliant at math and was then too. And we weren't stupid. It's not hard to do basic math. And there's like 3 rounds or whatever. And so Mike made a certain number. But he was in the final round. The guy next to him was a little ahead of him after round 2. This is the 3rd round. And I'm making up the numbers now. Let's say he's got to make 12 of 15 to beat Mike. And Mike's 10 years old, 9 years old. The kid makes the 12th one, and he's still going to shoot more,
right? But
it's over. And Michael looks at my dad sitting. I'm on the right. My dad's to my left. I remember like it was yesterday. I was 12 years old. And my dad, my son's looking at my brother's looking at my dad. And my dad gives him one of these. Thumbs down. My dad was not much to breathe spirit in anybody. It wasn't
crushed for 10-year-old.
Thumbs down. So meanwhile, the Thorpe thumbs down is a very famous thing in my family. We do it more now for jokes. We would never do it like my dad did it. So at the game Saturday, Florida State's not playing well. We're sitting, halfway up the lower section. We're playing fine. The Seminoles were playing fine. As it turns out, we ended up dominating the whole second half and won pretty easily, I thought. And Max, who normally locks in on Coach Hamilton and Coach Jones coaching, I'm looking at the huddle. I could see his eyes drift up to me. and we make eye contact. And he looks at me very serenely. And I give him the old thumbs down. And he breaks into laughter like that because he knows exactly what I'm doing. And because he knows the story. That's what I think of when you say Minnesota to me.
Thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Yeah.
As soon as I got the cat, because they really guard.
They
sure do. Physical, long team. Oh, and Rudy Gobert is on their team too.
Correct.
Because without him, with AE and Nickeil Alexander-Walker and McDaniels, and Cat's a tall man.
Yes.
Naz Reid's a fine defensive player. He's not elite. He's fine. Conley cares about defense. He's not great anymore, but he cares. And then they have Rudy back there, who's fucking a monster. I just don't think they believe. I don't think they believe it. 2 and 4. Yeah, 2 and 4 last 6. I just don't think they believe. Cat's a problem solver on offense.
Sure is.
He's and he cares. Cat competes. That dude tries. And so yeah, it's the old Thorpe thumbs down for me on Minnesota. Sorry about Minnesota. Down.
No. Listen, I don't think you're wrong. Like, I think Ant cares. And he really.
I think they all care.
I'm sorry. I think Ant believes. I think Ant's a believer.
Ant believes in himself.
I was just gonna say he might believe more in Ant than in everybody.
He should. He should, by the way, believe more in himself.
That's very good.
That's a bad dude right there,
He's
man.
So good. Oh my God.
Yeah. I would want you never to be friends with me if I was critical of him as a first pick in the draft prospect because he played so lazily at Georgia. And then now didn't realize he's one of my favorite players in the world.
Sure
he was just bored.
Yeah.
He was so much better than all these guys, but he made a move the other day where he's attacking downhill. This is a large man, by the way. He's not 6'6", 180.
Right.
It's a big, powerfully built linebacker-looking defensive end dude. And he's flying, but he's able to quickly just make an adjustment and blow by his guy. And just most guys look like him can't do that.
Yeah.
And he does it effortlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays the right way. He shoots some bad shots sometimes, but he's 22, I think.
Yeah, he's very young.
He's a young dude.
Right.
Yeah, he's special.
Sure
I don't think their team is special.
And I think you're right. And yes, and I think it'll be highlighted again. We'll see. Either way, he's not going to be healthy, right? Cat, when as you said, even because missed surgery, you come back. What do you think? You're going to be like back to where you were? That's not how injuries work. You don't come right back where you left off last time. There's a ramp up.
The season ended today. They're the 2 seed right now.
They're the 3 seed right now.
You said that.
Yeah, 3.
So that's 3 versus 6 round.
That's Phoenix
1
right now.
Phoenix can beat them
for sure. Surely can.
But I think they have a hell of a chance to win with Phoenix if Cat's healthy.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I do.
No
doubt.
They
really guard. Yeah, they really guard.
No. It's something to keep an eye on for sure. All right, we talked about them. OKC Thunder. They are right now the number 1 seed. They are 45-19, winners of 3 straight, 8-2 in their last 10. We know how good Shea is. Matter of fact, we had our best players in the world article come out last week, and the 3 of us, you, myself, and Henry, are on the Shea bandwagon. We had some nice comments from our listeners in the in the comment section, telling us how wrong we were about that. But we appreciate all the feedback, and as I say about the best player in the world. That's like a belt, man. You don't hold it in perpetuity. You might have it this week. Right. Someone might take it from you tomorrow. It's just how it goes. Anyway, look, I like what this team has. They have clearly some issues. Number 1 being lack of experience, and you're going to depend on a rookie starter in Chet Holmgren to be awesome in the playoffs, which could happen, but the track record of that existing in the playoffs is not very strong. You have a player in Josh Giddey who's going to be a problem in the playoffs, meaning he's going to get targeted. If he's not shooting threes well, which he hasn't really been doing, that's an issue too, because then he's like a minus for you offensively, minus defensively, and everybody else is young. Jalen Williams, everybody else on that team. That's just a young team. The only person who's got real experience is Shea and Lou Dort, and it's not like a ton of experience, but it's some.
So I think Josh is the key. He's been playing much better lately. I think he shot really well the other day. I just don't know how it translates to the postseason this year, and it's defensively is a big problem for him. I think potentially. I happen to think having playoff experience matters. I think if you have played a lot of really big college games, that can help. There just is. It's really a punch in the face. The stress. We were talking today on our call how quiet NBA crowds are until the postseason.
Yep.
And then it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think teams are afraid to play Oklahoma City in the postseason this year. If they don't change the way they play, I could see them not being fun to play in future years.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I just think that they're inexperienced,
Right?
And I do think it's going to matter. But it'd be silly to discount them. They're a well-connected group, very well coached, great franchise. Sam does a great job running the team. Their best player is a terrific guy, great leader,
Monster,
great player. And I think they're going to have an axe to grind.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to play with edge. I do. I just don't know how well they're going to shoot it on the road. It's a concern.
And listen, and this is part of the deal, right? When you're a young team, you don't just go from we never did anything to winning championships. That's just not how this league works. So they'll learn, and hopefully, which you've talked about all year, they will going forward in the future realizing we could make a move and get that other player to pair with Shea, and we can really be something, right? As opposed to Shea and Chet. Yes, right. So we'll see what they do there. All right, the Clippers, who were your pick to come out of the West. Let me start here first. Are they still your pick to come out of the West today?
No.
Okay, I figured as much.
But I'll answer that question on the last day if Kawhi's healthy.
Correct.
If everyone's healthy, I don't know.
Right.
I really don't.
So just to be clear,
I got 5 weeks to figure it out.
Yeah, the Clippers played a game yesterday where Kawhi and Paul George both sat. And Ty Lue actually talked about it after the game. He was like, it was a back-to-back, and it's crazy. I think they played a late evening game the night before and then a noon tip the next day. And it's just like, what?
Shut it down.
Ty was like, this is crazy. We're not. And that's not even 24 hours to recover. So no, those two are definitely not playing, and they probably lost the game. But all things being equal, this squad is very good when healthy, and you like them for obvious reasons.
Yeah. So going back to OKC real fast, you know where they're ranked on offense last 6?
Third.
Good guess. They're 8, top 10. And defensively, they're 4-2 now as a team. Where are they defensively? Is OKC. They're 11th. You're not missing by a lot here because there's 30 teams. So right. I'm like 4 or 5. Yeah, you're doing good. Yeah. The Clippers, 6th in offense, 14th in defense. Also not terrible.
No.
Especially considering who's been missing. 4-2 last 6. Not, they're still forming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that they've got to make sure Zubats is healthy, and obviously the big three, and then Ty Lue's got to work some magic.
He's got
to get them playing, high level defense, pragmatically figure out what works and everything. I think offensively they can be really special in the postseason.
I think too, David, the Westbrook injury is going to hurt them as well. When
is he back?
I don't know. It hasn't made it clear yet when he's going to be back. Right. He's been such a good off the bench player for them. Change of pace, can touch the paint still at this advanced age, right? And not having that is problematic for them right now. So hopefully they'll square that away by the playoffs. We shall see. All right, guys, we'll be back after a quick break, and then we'll finish up with the remaining 6 teams. All right, so we talked about the Bucks, Wolves, Thunder, Clippers, 76ers. Another.
We didn't start with the Bucks yet.
We didn't start. Oh, that's right, because we started with the Pelicans. Okay, so let's go back to Milwaukee. So a team that kind of was struggling, right? Doc came on and was like, "Oh, is this the right answer? They're not doing great. Whatever." Winners of 7 of their last 10. They are not catching Boston. They're 8 games back, but the two seed could be theirs. They're only a half game up on Cleveland, by the way, who has their own injury issues to worry about. But they're seeing some good things. We talked about it on our call this morning that, and Henry had a great way of putting it about Dame, but he talked about Doc. He's like, Doc's a talker. He's like, we come in, we start practice, and 20 minutes, we'll start practice. Right? Doc's still talking about defensive schemes or these different things that we're running. And so we've talked about Doc on here. Doc at one point was a great coach. We're not sure we're not sure. We are sure he is not put in the same requisite level of grinding to continue to be that. He's an old man now. He's in his 60s, right? So he's probably like, I don't want to do this anymore. But
careful.
but if a team didn't like the previous coach for whatever reason, right or wrong, but you have a new coach in place who regardless of if he's good or not, they're okay with him being present. That is, as you said on our call this morning, addition by subtraction. And that may be where they are with Doc right now.
All right. So let's talk about the old man comment first. I'm in the hotel room this weekend, and we had 2-bedroom suite, so my daughter could have her own room. She comes out dressed in one of my son's former teammates' jerseys, which I thought was pretty cool. One of his old roommates, Cleveland Yates. And I walk out of my room so my wife can finish getting ready. And I've got my shirt tucked in, the belt on. I'm trying to look, decent. And I said, not bad for an old man, huh? She's like, Dad, you are not an old man. I said, Rachel, I'm 60 in a year. She's like, okay, then you can be an old man. So I'm in my final year of not being an old man. Although I did get for the first time ever, I went ahead and signed up for AARP. So boom.
Listen, take all those discounts, my guy. Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, I'm going to. So, all right. Man, if Doc has made a transformation, I'll be happy to see it. I don't think I'm done learning and getting better. Maybe he and James just weren't on the eye to eye last year when it mattered. He talked too much, in my opinion. Maybe that pissed James off. Maybe it doesn't piss off Dame quite as much.
For now.
I think that's fair. He's put some stuff in for Dame. I have not seen it, but I've read about it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the old Terry Stotts stuff, which, by the way, that worked out really good.
Yeah.
So Dame's playing well. And Giannis is incredible.
Yes.
So I think Henry's one who said, not liking Adrian Griffin mattered.
Sure.
So, right? Yeah. So this morning. Yeah, so maybe it is addition by subtraction, like you're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
I did not think they had a chance to win a championship this year. I still would not think
correct.
It's likely. It's unfair to say. I wouldn't say it's 0% chance.
No. And as
maybe
we said,
I have before, but I wouldn't say that.
We said a million times, with Dame and Giannis playing well, you can win any playoff series you're in. If it's one thing Doc has been historically good at, and it was an issue in Philly, but Doc is a charismatic guy and tends to connect with star players, right? Relatively well. So if he, for whatever reason, has got Dame and Giannis on board, that really all that matters. If those two are good, well, I think everybody else is going to be good. So we'll see. Again, it's only been, 15, 20 games Doc's been there. So we'll see like where this all nets out at the end. But, it's something that bears watching. All right. The 76ers. They are 36-28, 4-6 in their last 10. They are dangerously close, David, of dropping out of the top 6 in the East. They're only a half game above Indiana right now.
Lost to New York yesterday?
Yes, in a game that beat New York in a game that set offensive basketball back 1,000 years. I think 70-something points was like the high on both ends. They're gonna get Joel Embiid back at some point. Embiid said it, but like Cat, it's not like he's not gonna come back and be the 40-point, 20 dominating dude he was on day one, like he was.
That guy was the best player in the world,
without question.
Yeah, over Shea.
Yep. Over Jokic, everybody. Yep.
The guy we saw this year was just absolutely. He was Jokic unguardable wise offensively, but better on defense.
A monster on defense.
Better than Jokic. Yeah. Yeah. But he won't be that guy almost for sure.
Nope.
Very, very small chance of that. Yeah.
And so, I mean, they forget about they could just drop out of the top 6 completely, and then all bets are off if you're in that play-in round, because I don't know what's going to happen down there. It's a mixed mash of teams. You got Miami's down there, Chicago's down there, Atlanta's down there. I mean, Orlando could drop as well, along with Philly down there. I mean, the Knicks could even too. The only teams I would say safe from dropping into the play-in are obviously Boston, Milwaukee, and Cleveland. Everybody else is a game and a half above that 7 line.
Agreed. Yeah, it's a clusterfuck.
Yes, that's exactly the word.
It is.
And really for Philly, David, as much as we love Maxey, it's been great, and like what Nick Nurse is doing, if there's no Joel Embiid around, this is just
curtains.
Yeah,
or as we like to say in Thorpe world.
This is Thorpe's thumb down right here. They got nothing. They got nothing.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Dad, wherever you are, that we're making fun of you at your own expense. But his boys are not that way. We're not thumbs down kind of guys. which makes the story that much more adorable in my opinion. But yeah, I don't see it.
No, I'm with you there. Cavaliers, they're next up. They are currently third in the East. They're only a half game behind Milwaukee for 2, but they got some injury concerns. 5-5 in their last 10, 41-23. Donovan Mitchell's been out. Don't know what the timeline is for him return. Garland and Allen were out for a while. They are back. But
so of your teams, I want to ask you this now.
Yeah,
we have 11 teams with New Orleans. The Cavs are the worst offensive team of your 11 that you picked. Okay, and you left Boston out.
Yeah, because Denver because they are who
they're already in.
Yep, they're
on the small little championship bus that we have.
Sure are.
Okay, so Cleveland's the worst offensive team of this group because I think you have Donovan more than anything. Want to guess where they are?
Oh, number 1 on defense, probably.
No, offensively.
Oh, no, you said they're the worst offensive team.
No, of the 11.
Oh,
so there's teams worse than them that aren't worthy of the Jarod Hector mention in the podcast. So where do you think they rank, Jarod, of our 11?
Over the last 10 or just for the season?
Over just the last 6. I don't care what happened in October.
Okay, 15th.
Okay, they are 24th.
God, that's bad.
Right. How many games has Donovan missed?
At least 6 or 7.
6.
Yeah.
So yeah, what a surprise. Because he's a bad boy too.
Yuck. 24th.
Yeah. And they're 11th in defense. 8th in defense. Okay. So pretty good.
That's why they're able to maintain it, because they have a top 10 defense.
Right. They're 3-3 last 6 because of that. You're right. That's right.
God.
So that's a thumbs down for Cleveland.
Yeah.
Well, when Donovan comes back,
they'll be fine.
Are off. And they'll be really good.
Assuming he's back and he's
so good.
And he's back and he's healthy, and we talked about this before, they are ready now, or it's going to be a disappointing season for them if they go to the playoffs again and lose in round one. It's win around now time for Cleveland, assuming they're healthy. All right, this team, look, we know they have a coaching problem, but they have arguably the best.
Are you talking about Dallas?
Of course, they have arguably the best player in the world in Luka Doncic, although he doesn't play in defense. So for Thorpe, he is not the best player in the world. 5-5 in their last.
I gave him a chance.
You did.
I gave him a chance, Jarod.
Gave him a huge chance, but you got to play defense.
He made his choice. I made mine.
They are 8th right now, 36-28. The West is also a cluster. So between Phoenix, who's 6th, and the Warriors, who were 10th, that is a 3.5 game spread. So anybody can move around in that realm there. Kyrie's been playing well offensively, as has Derek Lively's been good. The Gaffer pickup's been good. We like all that stuff. Timmy Hardaway Jr. off the bench. Yeah. All that's great. If the team doesn't learn how to play some defense, I don't care. It's not going to matter.
When they made the trade, I declared them winners of the trade deadline and wrote that they could have the best offense in the league, the rest of the season. Well, I've not looked it up since the trade, but I've looked it up in the last 6 games where they are 3-3, like a lot of these teams are. 3rd in offense. 3rd.
Probably 30th in defense.
So they're not 30th over 6 games, but they're the worst of the 11 teams. Do you want to guess where they're ranked? They're not 30th.
Okay, 20th.
Worse.
26th.
Worse.
Good. 29th.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, you might as well be last, but okay.
Right. Yeah. Last 6. So they're 3-3 despite the 29th defense. Their offense is amazing.
Right. That's why they're there, because they can score. But they can't guard for shit.
They just aren't guarding.
Yeah.
They're just not strategizing. Whatever it is, it's not happening for them. And I'm just waiting for the next shoe to drop. Who's going to be the next coach in Dallas?
Here's a question for you. Who would you put in that spot to be head coach of the Dallas Mavericks?
I mean, you can't hire Udoka. He's already set.
Because he would challenge Luka to be better on that end, and I think would get through him.
I think so. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a European at this point. They're gonna. I wouldn't be surprised if Luka picks his next.
Got it.
Yeah. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised.
This is what happens when you get to the stage of the NBA.
Yeah.
David, a team that's concerning me are the Sacramento Kings and their uneven play. 6-4 in their last 10. 36-27. This was a darling team last year in many ways. Elite offensively, not great on defense, but went 7 games with
bad on defense.
Bad on defense. Went 7 games with the Warriors in round 1 last year in a great series. But they've just been so uneven this year. Just not really being able to get on like a nice little run or roll. And I'm sure a lot of it has to do with their inability to play elite defense. They can score, but the offense even still wasn't as good as it was last year because they were number 1 or 2 in offense last year, if I'm not mistaken. They're not quite that this year. Sacramento Kings.
Was when you were just defining that, I was thinking you did a good job of making this list. And I look at these, these last 6 games these teams have played.
Mm-hmm.
A team like Boston is first or second in offensive rating, defensive rating over the last 6 games, last 15. They're just playing at a high level. Sacramento's defense is 26th the last 6 games.
There it is.
They just, and I think they have unsolvable problems based on their roster. I don't like Keegan Murray next to Sabonis from a defensive standpoint.
Bad.
I like it offensively.
Yeah, love it.
Because since Sabonis isn't a 3-point shooter and Murray is, I like what you can do. But to me, you have to have what Jabari Smith is to Şengün. Young, long, athletic, potential shot blocker. And then offensively, anyone can play with Şengün, just like anyone can play with Sabonis.
Mm-hmm.
But so defensively, they're just too flawed.
I agree.
I just think they're stuck. They're stuck.
Yeah. No, the point you made about their 4-5 combo is dead on. It's accurate. Yeah. It just doesn't have, and Şengün Smith, that's brilliant, right? That works, right? Because of
I love it. Yeah. Let's hope he's okay.
Oh, yeah. So for those of you that don't know, Şengün got hurt last night in a game against the Kings.
It looked really bad.
Yeah, got taken off in a wheelchair. So who knows what's happening there? You mentioned Boston really quickly at a high level. They're not on this list because they're in the front seat with Denver and our championship bus. I will say this, David. Do you know that they've only lost back-to-back games twice all season? Once early in November, and then just recently this past week when they lost to Cleveland and then to Denver. Have not.
Yeah, no slouches.
And that is teams that tend not to go on long losing streaks in the regular season. Yeah. That's a good sign for the postseason.
They just really, they're the
best
team. I really think they're going to win the championship.
No.
Yeah. They've just got so many good players. They're so locked in. Bye, honey. My wife's leaving. They're so locked in and professional. Yeah, spring break for this week. They just have they've got a championship vibe, man.
They sure do. I see.
And I'm not saying they'll roll through the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to be playing yet.
Correct.
If they did, I wouldn't be surprised because they are. As someone who does talk to teams, players who have to play them, there's no. It's if you trying to find it's like finding the weakness in the Death Star.
Mm-hmm. Good luck.
Like it's just not easy. It's not easy, and that just seems so connected. I'm really sounds the wrong way, but I'm not friends with a lot of them. I'm very impressed with the way Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown lead the team. Brad Stevens, Joe. What he's been able to do as a second-year coach, really a hell of a franchise right now. If you're a Boston fan, you should be really proud of your team.
David, they are committed to what they do and how they play on both ends of the floor. I've watched them closely the last 3 games, and it happened to be 2 losses and a win, but still, it doesn't matter. What we love about them on defense rings true. They don't double anyone ever because they don't have to. And it's phenomenal. I'm like, this makes you so much better because you can get rebounds. You can do all these other things that other teams that have to double are in scramble mode. They're never in scramble mode unless, it's a fast break. And then sometimes it happens to every NBA team. But in the half court set, not a lot of that. And my God, threes galore. Always, 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 always. Somebody touches the paint. I'm like, shit, here it comes. Backdoor 3. Somewhere's going to be wide open. And sure enough, they are. When you believe in what you are on both. Now, look, you can still lose believing in what you are. We've seen it happen a million times. But there's a certain way you go into games where this is who we are. This is what we do. And I just see that with this team. And,
got to keep those guys healthy.
That's really it. That's their number one thing.
going to be able to be done, I think, because they're not going to have to play that much those last 10 days.
That this 8-game lead they have on the second place team is, and again, we talk about this, the regular season is so long, but this is why if you take the regular season seriously, as Boston has, this allows them the ability to, all right, we can rest guys now. When other teams, we mentioned before, everybody else is going to be jockeying because they could fall into the play-in or whatever. So this will be big for them. Speaking of a team, go ahead.
If you're a Celtics fans, get used to watching the deep bench and two-way players.
Yeah,
because they're coming.
For sure.
They're good, by the way. They're good.
And look, they might find something there for sure. The Miami Heat is a team that, I was like, oh, look out for the Heat, look out for the Heat. And it's not that I don't believe in that. I'm more of I get it. That's what they've done, right? 2 finals trips in the last 4 years, 3 conference finals. But it's like the stock market, right? Past performances do not indicate future results. Like, sure, they did that. That doesn't mean they're necessarily going to do that again this year. And they're in that playing range, David. And defensively, they're fine. They're 8th overall in defense. But they stink on offense. I don't know. It could all turn around come playoff time. Spo's a master. I'm giving him all the credit in the world. But I don't know. I'm not a believer now.
They're confounding. We thought Jimmy had turned a corner, and the proverbial flipping a switch and whatever.
Playoff Jimmy, all that stuff.
Right. Meanwhile, they're 2-4 last 6 games.
Correct.
They are 16th on offense. 16th on defense.
Right. Middle of the pack.
Like just boring. They haven't figured out a few things. Kevin Love's been out a little bit, and that he was, helping them because of his shooting, his veteran leadership. They can't get on a streak right now. So
no.
They were playing better, but they're still 3-3 last 6. Like I said, they're no streak. And really bad loss to the Wizards yesterday.
Yes, for sure. And look, yes, I get it. There's like the demons. If the Bucks see the Heat on the opposite side of them, sure. All that. Maybe. But my thing is, who are you now and what are you playing like currently? And right now, if I'm Milwaukee and playing the way I am and I see this Heat team, I'm not like, oh shit, they're going to kick our ass. Like, I just don't see it. We'll see what happens come postseason. All right, last team on the list, a team we loved watching all year, the Indiana Pacers. They are currently in 7th place. They're a half game behind Philly. They're 36-29, 6-4 in their last 10. We talked about Halliburton, right? Healing Halliburton, getting him kind of back together and back on his grind. Pascal Siakam's been a new addition, has been great for them, but there's some, they've been a little wobbly of late too, a little uneven. Now, look, we didn't expect anything great from this team because they're young. So them making the playoffs is win. That's already the win. So my thing is, I hope they're able to. I would like them to get back into that 6th line and make the playoffs and not have to deal with playing. That if they do that, to me, successful season, game over.
I'm sure they feel the same way. But for now, Jarod, it's
thumbs down. They're not. Yeah, have not been good.
Yeah, they have not been happy with Miles Turner inside. He's not finishing with force. Neesmith's shot selection suspect to me. Matherin's now out
for the season, I think.
I think that's a positive for them. He's been really bad this year. He puts up numbers, but they're empty numbers. They're better when he's off the court by far. So TJ McConnell's played well. Nembhard's played well. Siakam actually's played well. Tyrese up and down a little bit. That's really the big story to me is, can he reach his All-NBA level play again? Whether he makes it or not, because he's put enough games, separate issue. Can he reach that level? I don't know. We'll have to see.
And that's how this team is constructed, right? If he is not playing all NBA level, they're just not going to be.
They're done. Yeah. They are thumbs down. If he's not cooking.
Yeah. And so hopefully he gets whatever need that he needs to help fix whatever ails him. Hopefully he gets that, and they turn things around towards the end of the season here. All right, David. Something interesting happened on Friday. The Timberwolves were playing the Cavaliers. I think it was Cavaliers. And Rudy Gobert received the foul call that he thought was questionable. It was his 6th foul, so it made him disqualified from the game. And he flashed the money sign. If those of you who are not watching and listening, I'm doing the international sign when you're rubbing your fingers together, cash, whatever. Exactly. And Natalie Sago, who wasn't the official he was doing it to, I don't believe, saw that, and she teed him up.
Good.
And, rightfully so, right? And after the game, he said,
But
yes, we'll
after the
get
game,
to
he
the
said
but.
what?
After the game, he said that was an immature way for me to handle that. I shouldn't have done that. I take responsibility. That was wrong. And that was correct on him. However,
nevertheless,
referees make mistakes too. But sometimes I think it's more than mistakes. I think that everyone that's in this league knows. I think it's got to get better. I think it's hurting our game. I know the betting and all that is becoming bigger and bigger, but it shouldn't feel that way. And David, when I saw those, I was like, oh, Adam Silver, don't like that out there. That is not good. And
wow.
The reason why I say that is because this. You and I know, you talk to players all the time, as do I, not as deeply as you do. They are already annoyed with officials as it is because of their lack of consistency in making calls. Is it a foul or is it not? How come you change your mind every other play? It's different. So that's already got them ticked to begin with. And on top of that, if a player thinks a referee is up to nefarious things, this is not what the league wants. And I will add, when the league had its referee scandal with Tim Donaghy, and late Commissioner David Stern came out and said, oh, no, nothing to see here, right? We did our investigation. It was just one rogue official, Tim Donaghy. Nobody else is to blame. David, I mean, he's no longer alive now. But if I were talking to him, really? He talked to Scott Foster literally multiple times a day. And you are telling me he was the only person, nobody else remotely attached to anything. Come on, man. Just don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining, right? We know some things here, right? And so the league, with the influx of all this gambling money, this is a problem, David, and the integrity of the game cannot be seen to be called into question, because if that happens, trust is already eroded, right, between fans and leagues. If this happens and it gets any kind of groundswell, league's in trouble.
All right. So first of all, as a child of a lawyer, I am not ready to say that it was anything beyond Tim Donaghy. You can say whatever you want, only because like there's one or two guys I talk to 3 to 5 times a day. We talk about our businesses, and if it turned out one of them ended up getting arrested for some pretty
you'd be the first
shit,
thing they look at because you talk to them frequently.
I would definitely get a phone call, and I would have to tell them, "I'm sorry. Here's our
I don't know what you're talking about, but
you'll never. I have no idea." That being said, I mean, you're onto something here. That there is real concern. I'm real concerned. The connection to gambling, the inconsistency with the calls. They're already upset. It's this won't be the last fine we see, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, I really don't.
And I was actually surprised that Rudy kind of did that. Like in that moment, I was like, whoa. Because my thing is, if he said what he said, as he said after the game, he's not the only player who thinks that way. It's got right. Yeah. There's got to be more. They may not say it, like, and Rudy said it out loud. They may keep it to themselves, but they got to be thinking it. And this, look, guys.
Well, look at it this way: if you are open to the idea that certain star players get better treatment over the non-star players, then you can necessarily make the leap to the league being more open to the Knicks having a better seed than the Pacers. And that's what we're talking about here.
Right. And this is Adam Silver wants no part of this. Like, he does not want, this is not the story and the things they want out there.
No.
And unfortunately, when you take in so much cash in these gambling companies, and look, I understand the league is a for-profit business. They have to make money.
Yeah.
And these are the people who are flush with cash. I get it. I mean, every podcast in the world takes gambling money. We don't. But I mean, and that's not, I'm not saying that to be like, we're better than everybody. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
But everyone does. So I get it. But at some point, it's going to obscure and the lines are just blurred now. And now it's like, well, so what's legit and what's not? And every single thing you see on every major show is like, okay, what's your 3-game parlay tonight? And it's like, all right. I mean, it's everywhere. It really is. And I just think that this is, we talk about unintended consequences, right? Short-term gain is we need the money. Okay, get that. What's this going to look like 5-10 years from now? Nobody knows. I'm going to posit probably nothing good is my guess. And that's where we are.
I'm going to posit that too.
All right, folks. We will see you all on Thursday. Take care.